In basically all of the situations that I am facing in my life, there's basically always some kind of risk. And I don't know exactly why that is, and that's really something that I'm trying to understand, but I'm trying to understand why basically almost the first thing or my first reaction is being afraid, because there is always some kind of risk. There's always something that could go wrong. There's always something that could hurt myself, or I could hurt myself by doing something in a way that is not good for myself or that's not good for the situation. And I, to a certain degree, I understand why that is. I know and I can feel for myself that there is always that fear. But what I'm really trying to understand is where does that fear came from. I very much believe in almost everything, in almost every aspect in my life or in this world, that everything to a certain degree comes naturally for everybody. And I really don't think that always being afraid of things and always only focusing on the fear and on the risks is very naturally. I just don't think that it's very naturally. And we can all agree that the people that have achieved something very big, if we look at people like Elon Musk, or doesn't matter basically whoever it is, we can also look at footballers like maybe Cristiano Ronaldo or whoever. We can all agree that these people have taken massive amounts of risk. And yes, we only hear about the stories that went well. We don't often hear about the stories that didn't go well. But there are so many stories of people that have taken many different risks, or have taken multiple risks, and that it really paid out for them, that they have achieved something from it. Now, I don't know exactly why it is, and that's really something that I'm trying to figure out for myself, that I am always, or that we are always so very focused on taking some kind of risk or doing something that is out of our comfort zones, because we always have that fear because of the risk that is involved. Now, I am example for, I was born in 1994, I'm sorry. But especially the generation of my parents, and definitely not all of them. And I even think basically almost all of them, or most of them, all have very good intentions. But there is literally just such a big difference in generations, because the things that went well for my parents, or the things that worked for the generation of my parents, basically simply don't work for me, don't work for my generation, or the people that are basically the same age that have to live in 2025. These things simply don't work anymore, because there is not very much structure and there is not very much stability. So basically the only option that we have is to take risks. And if people around you are telling you to not take any risks, try to take or try to decide for an action that we think has more stability in it. But that's simply not how the world works in 2025 anymore. So for the people, the point that I'm trying to make here is for the people that have parents, friends, relatives, or basically people close to them, always telling them to not take any risk, try to go on a safe route, or take the safe path. Then our nature changes, and we are basically always thinking of to a certain degree safe path and trying to avoid risks. But as I just mentioned, if we look at the people that have taken a lot of risks, those are the people that come out on, I would not say on top, but those are the people that come out on a different side. And those are the people that many people look up to simply because they took a risk. And if we take a look at the risk, or at the situation where we think it is very bad for us, or where we think something bad will happen to us, if we really analyze it and be rational about it, is it really that bad? And because in most situations, looking at myself, looking at my own experiences, most of the time, I really don't think that there are that big of consequences. And even the consequences that are there, I really don't think that they are that big, or that they are that big of a problem. And on the other hand, maybe you also need some kind of problems or obstacles to conquer, to come out on top, and to come out on the other side for yourself, to not have to live with some kind of regret, because that's basically for me the most my biggest motivator, to not have to live with any kind of regret, because there are so many things that I want to do, and I just really don't want to sit in the same place and look at myself in about 20 years and say to myself, I wish I had have done that, I wish I had have done that, I wish I had have tried certain things. And now circling back to my situation, I have recently started my own business, or trying to work for myself, and there are many risks involved, there are many obstacles involved, and there are many times where I feel very anxious or feel a little bit anxious, but I also tell myself that there is just no way around it. There is no certainty in doing these things, but I really want to come out on the other hand, so that means I simply have to take those risks. I have to take these things into considerations and just go through that. Because everybody that has done these things, I'm not the only one feeling the way I feel or experiencing the things that I'm experiencing. Everybody that has done those things has experienced the same things. And the people that come out on the other hand simply have taken those risks and just went through them and tried to conquer them and did whatever it took. And that's basically how I look at these situations and how I'm looking at my own current situation, because again, I feel very anxious many times, but in those moments where I feel anxious, I try to remind myself of the fact that there is no other way around it. You have to feel shit, you have to feel bad, and then at some point it gets easier and it gets more normal, and you are basically, or I am hopefully at a new level where I have to conquer new obstacles and try to work my way to new objectives. So that's my experience. That's how I look at it. Share yours with us. Share them in the comments. Send me a message. And for now, again, thank you very much for listening.